All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of Money Talks. And this week we have a follow-up meeting, part 2 with Andrew Berger from the Raymond James home office. Andrew is going to go through the Client Access app and show you some of the other tools that are available to you through the Client Access app. I hope everyone's enjoying this beautiful sunny day. And this meeting is going to run about 30 minutes. After Andrew goes through his session, then I will give you a brief market update for 2020. You should have all received an email today from Adam. That email included our Raymond James's 2020 market outlook for the balance of the year. And I'll just hit on some of the key bullet points because it's a pretty, I'm sure if you've gone through it already or perused through it briefly, you will see there about 51 pages there. So if any of you have challenges sleeping at night, it's great material that'll get the job done. It'll put you to sleep in no time flat. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Andrew Berger from Raymond James home office. Andrew, you can take it away.
Hey, thanks very much, Rod. So for those of you that didn't meet me virtually on the last call, again, I'm Andrew Berger. I've been with Raymond James a little over 10 years now, and so I'm coming to you from St. Petersburg, Florida. Pretty close. I live pretty close to our home office here, where I work with about 5,000 of my closest friends at corporate headquarters. So in my role now, I primarily work with our advisors, and so I work with advisors that are currently with Raymond James to show off some of the new technology and things we're working on and to get their feedback. But I also work with a lot of advisors across the U.S. that are thinking about coming over to Raymond James and just kind of want to see the tools that they would have. Now, on the other side of this, I also help out with client events showing off the client resources, and so that's what we'll do today. Normally, I'm on the road 7 to 12 days a month, visiting various offices around the U.S., or sometimes doing events like this in person, but with everything going on in 2020, obviously I've been doing a lot of work on Zoom every day, so I've become pretty accustomed to this, and it's actually been pretty nice. Normally I have to wear a suit and tie to work every day, and wearing the polo shirt on a Friday with shorts is not so bad. So what I'll do right now is I will share my screen with you, and this should just take a quick moment to refresh. And what we're looking at right now is, of course, I went to the team's website, the apgroup.org, and so you could go here. You could also go to raymondjames.com and log in. And so up top at this menu, we have client access here. And so if you've already created your login, I would click online login. If you haven't done that, you can also click create account. And in the invitation to this meeting, you got an email from Janice that has a Adobe PDF document on there that walks you through exactly how you would sign up for your online access. But it just takes a few minutes, and that PDF is pretty easy to follow. So I'm going to log into my demonstration account here. So taking me to my login page, I'm going to enter my login. It's very creatively called Tech Demo Accounts for these type of presentations. And I'll enter my password here. And this will take me just a few moments to log in. Now I'm going to click Remember Me on this computer. So if you do have a computer at home that you use frequently, or an iPad or your device, I would recommend you click on Remember This Computer. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do that if you were on somebody else's or at a relative's house. But once I log into Raymond James Client Access, it's going to take me to this nice summary page here. And from this summary page, we're brought to this overview of accounts. Now, if you have any liabilities, like a line of securities-based lending or anything like that, those would also show right on this landing page as well. For this example, I named cash accounts and retirement accounts here, and you're going to see this edit button in a number of different places. So you do have the ability to add nicknames to your accounts or nicknames to the groups of accounts. So I have this thing called cash accounts here. I can click edit, and I can just type in whatever I want to call that and click the checkbox to rename it, just so it's easy to follow along. So this is that group of accounts, and then here's my single account here. I could click right next to the edit button, and I could nickname that individual account. I like leaving the last 4 digits of the account number on there just as a quick reference, but again, you could just add in a helpful reminder so that's easy to follow each and every time you go in. You'll see this little plus button next to accounts. So if you click that, it's going to go to basic account details on it, where it shows you, change since the last statement, prior year end, as well as available cash within that account. Right next to edit, you'll see this portfolio button. That's going to take you to the portfolio tab, which lets you view all the holdings, so what comprises that specific account. And then you can also click on statements. And we'll go to both of these tabs shortly, so I'll talk a little more about that. Underneath this, we have our asset allocation chart to show us the various breakdown of what makes up the investments here. And then there's also a watch list that you can optionally set up at the bottom. So if I click edit this list, it'll bring me to site preferences. So I can actually search for a symbol or a company name that I might want to follow, and I can add it to that watch list and click save or click save and close. And there's a few other ways that they can do that. And I'm also going to tie this into a way that you get to view Raymond James research if you want to. So going back up here, I'm going to click cancel because I don't want to edit my demo account. Up top, you basically have 4 different big titles you can click on. Our default is My Accounts. Account Services is going to be your settings. Vault is your cloud storage, which we'll also talk about. And then Market Research is all the research that Raymond James does that you also have access to as a client. So while we're still on the Accounts tab here, I'm going to change from Summary to Portfolio. And this is going to show me all of the holdings that are in my accounts at Raymond James. So as I scroll down here, it's going to start bringing up a list, and it's going to show you a description, quantity. It's going to show you the current value, your amount invested, and then the investment gain or loss. And you can actually toggle between a dollar or a percentage if you'd like to see that. You can also see, if applicable, any accrued interest, as well as estimated annual income or yield, and time held here. At the bottom, you're going to see totals for all of these different columns that make sense. So total amount invested, total investment gain loss, total daily change, total current value. We're looking at securities across all of the accounts that I have in this demo. At the top, you'll see this drop-down menu. And so if you click it, if you want to view a specific account or multiple accounts, but maybe not all of them, you can check or uncheck the box for a group of accounts, or check or uncheck the box for individual accounts. Now, alternatively, you see I have the names of my 2 accounts here. If I wanted to just get rid of them in this view, I click the X, and it's just going to show me the holdings in that particular account. If I wanted to add it back, I just use my drop down and reselect that account, and it's going to load the securities from that account back up. From this tab, there's a few areas that I also wanted to point out. We're on current value right now. Right next to that is realized gain loss, which is going to show you the gain or loss on securities that have been sold within your portfolio. And then activity is built in. So from the activity, we also have the same drop down. You're going to see the same thing, so you can view activity across all of your accounts or particular, individual accounts. And you can select a pre-built date range like month to date or year to date or the last 30, 60, or 90 days. Or you could also just enter in a custom date range, right? So I could enter in a start date and end date and hit update, and it would pull all the activity between whatever specific period I want to view. And you can also filter it out. So based on the activity that occurs, like if you just wanted to see dividends or buys or sells, you could use this activity drop down and check the box off for what you want to see specifically. It's going to show you all those details. And within this view here, you also have the ability to export that data to Excel, so you can turn it into a spreadsheet. We can also print it out very easily. So as I move along here, I also wanted to point out under account services how you can easily sign up for e-delivery, right? So if you would like to receive, whether it's trade confirms or your tax forms or your statements online, you can go to your client tools, and there is a button, two buttons here actually to say, one, the first choice is I want to receive all of my account documents online only. And that's what I have selected for my demonstration account. You could also specify which accounts you did want to receive by mail as well. And so if you check that box, it will show all your accounts, and you can say, for some reason, if I want accounts for this statement or if I want trade confirms mail, that's fine, but I want to receive this type of document like my tax form online, I can specify and get really particular if I want. But most clients that do like utilizing, client access and e-delivery, they just check one box to say they want to receive everything online, and then they click save, and it'll make the update for them. So if you do choose to utilize that e-delivery, we will also publish everything right to your Documents tab. So right next to Account Services, we're going to go to My Accounts. And under your accounts, you're going to see this Documents tab. And if you click on that, it'll take you to all of your e-delivery documents here. And so you'll see a few tabs within here. It's going to default to statements. So, I can look at most recent or choose a particular year, and I can expand these. I can see my linked summary statement for multiple accounts, or I could click on each individual account if I wanted to see a statement for that. So it's pretty easy to get to these. I think another important area here to be aware of is tax reporting. So this is where your 1099 is going to show up in any important tax document. So you can just go to that tax reporting tab, open up one of these documents, and it'll start loading for you in the Adobe PDF, and you'd be able to view it, you'd be able to save it, you'd be able to, print it out if you need to. Right above Documents is another popular tool called Raymond James Vault. And I'll talk a little bit about Raymond James Vault here. And you can think of Vault as a secure and encrypted virtual filing cabinet. And there's no limit to the amount of data that's on there. And there is also a lot of security, right? So in the last session, we talked about how much Raymond James spends on technology and security. So this is a lot more secure than something like the Apple iCloud, but you're also not going to run out of space. So you're never going to see like a percentage or a bar showing you that you're going to run out. And so, for examples for this, a lot of clients might use it to back up anything from a will or trust documentation, insurance paperwork. It could be a backup picture of your passport, whatever you'd like. And there's a few ways that this works. If you were to bring something into the office, Janice and the team could help you out, and they could scan those documents and they could upload those to your Raymond James Vault. And then anytime you needed them, from your mobile device or right through the website here, you could just go online, And in a few seconds, you could load anything up you want to view and also print it out. As an example, like I have my homeowner's policy on here, and I make sure that, you know, my advisor uploads a new copy every year. So if for some reason I need it, I can just go to their website, I can open it up, I can print it out, it's on one spot. So you'll see that there's a button here that says New Folder. So you can actually create folders to get organized within the tool. You know, some clients might create folders like legal documents. They might create a folder called, you know, tax season, and maybe have a copy of their W-2 in there. So it's kind of an open book as to how you'd like to use it. Now, on your side, if you use the mobile website from your device, whether it's an Android phone or an Apple phone, so you could actually go to client access on your device. You can take picture or video from your device, and you can upload that to your cloud as well. If you have a document already on your computer, you could just hit the upload button and upload right from your computer too. So that's an open book. Janice and the team can help you out. You have the ability to do that on your own, and again, it's becoming a pretty popular tool. Here in Florida, we're in hurricane season, so you know, we see a lot of clients will do like a little walkthrough on their iPad or their phone, and they kind of take this little video narration going through their house. They might take photos of their boat or backyard, garage, important things, and they'll back that up into like an insurance folder that's within their cloud. So we can definitely help you out with that, and it's a very open book as to how you utilize it. Now, I'll end on a neat section here called market research, and this is going to give you access to Raymond James research that our advisors have access to as well, like Rod and the team. So when I click on market research, you can get a symbol quote, but there is a tab on here called equity research, and if I click on that, it's going to take me to the equity research page, and I can search for companies. So I can search by the symbol for the company if I know what that is, or I can just type in a company name. So I'm going to type in Amazon as an example here, and I'm going to search for it. And it's going to come up in my search results, so it's just pulled up Amazon for me. When I click on it, it's going to bring me to the landing page for Amazon. And there's a few items here. It's going to default to the data tab, so it shows you the last price, and it's got this little, you know, price history chart on there, and it shows you any dividends or stock splits. Now, there's a button here that says Add to Watch List. So if you remember from earlier in the presentation, we had that watch list at the bottom of the home page, and I'll go right back to that, and I'll show you. So from our home page here, if I keep scrolling all the way down, I have my watch list of favorite securities to track. Amazon's already on there, but again, if it wasn't, I could simply hit the Add to Watch List button. It would add it to that so I could follow. And then I also have a research tab. So this is kind of neat. We're going to show you all of the latest research that Raymond James does. So we have a huge equity research department, and these are all the people at the home office that are even nerdier than I am, and they're working, you know, 60, 70, 80 hours a week with 4 big screens, are doing all the technical analysis. So they write up these terrific research reports that our advisors use, and you can view their last 6 months of research, or you can view the latest company report. So if I click on one of these, it's going to open up a PDF, and this is a pretty lengthy document. It's 9 pages long. So if you did want to see what goes into, you know, all of our analysis, you can have access to everything that our advisors have through the tool. So there, if you'd like to utilize it. I wanted to kind of end on that note and leave it for a little QA, and I know Rod has a market update. So I will stop presenting now, and I will leave it open to some QA, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time again today. and making this navigation so much easier, and you know, assisting us with being able to better service our clients as well in everything we do. So thank you for being part of our team.
Hey, you're very welcome, and wish everyone a terrific weekend, and I'm sure we will speak again soon.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great weekend. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and give you a quick market update, and then I'll make myself available for any questions you may have. There's, you know, our industry is interesting. We use animals to describe what type of market we're in, and all of you are familiar with the term bull market and bear market. A bull market is obviously a market that is recovering, moreover, a market that is advancing, okay? We all like bull markets, right? But bear markets aren't as much fun, unless you really understand that bear markets are an essential part of the whole growth process. Because as I've stated before many times, that during bear markets, that's when your money is really working the hardest for you. If you own dividend value companies, those dividends, when the markets are down, are being reinvested and buying more shares for you. So when the market eventually comes back up, you're looking really good. And so bear markets are a part of the whole investment cycle. It's important to always remember bear markets are temporary, rather. They're temporary. The average bear market lasts 1 year. The average bear market recession will last about 1 year. This market here that we're currently in, we are officially in recession. It was announced last week that recession started in February. And so now the previous bull market it ended in February, and the new bear market has begun. And so we are in what's called a recessionary bear market. So we are indeed in recession, okay? And so by most accounts, we probably have hit the bottom of the market. The market's bottomed at about 33, negative 33 on the S&P. And so that signaled the bottom of the recession, or the bottom of the recession. Now, someone was asking me recently, could the markets retest that bottom? Well, the short answer to that is yes, okay? However, we have never seen that happen where we've retested the absolute bottom of a market. Most analysts and economists feel that the recovery from this bear market will be a V-shaped recovery. And that's what it is shaping up to be, a V-shaped recovery. But it's important to understand that with all recoveries, recoveries don't go in a straight line. We would love, we would love if that happened. The markets go straight down and come straight back up just as fast. Typically, it doesn't work out that way. What's more typical is that when markets recover, they recover like this, okay? You'll see that volatility up and down, but the trend is a gradual, it's an upward trend, okay? And that's really important to understand. It's not gonna go straight up, it's a gradual upward trend. And during most business cycles, when we hit the bottom of the market, that recovery cycle, that next recovery cycle or expansion cycle in the economy typically runs on average about 6 to 8 years. And so if history repeats itself for the next 6 to 8 years, in fact, the last bull market we had ran almost 11 years before it ended. And so it's important to focus on the long term and not so much the short-term volatility that's currently taking place. It's important to take comfort in the fact that we have bottomed in all probability, and the recovery, although we will see volatility, and a lot of things causes volatility. This week it was the news. Bad news causes volatility. We had some COVID cases apparently spiked, and so that caused a lot of volatility. But even if we didn't have COVID cases out there, even if we were not in a pandemic, markets, again, they don't go straight up. It's very normal after a period of recovery, even during a market recovery phase, that we have a pullback. And typically, even in a bull market rally or recovery rally, it's very common to go 11, 12 months and we have a 10% pullback. But when markets recover as fast as they have recently, we went up 45% from the bottoms. We had a 45% run the last couple months. And so that also happened in 2009 after the 2008 recovery. The markets ran up 45%, and then we had a 10% correction, which is normal. And so I just want you to understand that's how markets work, but you really want to focus on the long term and not the short term volatility that takes place during the recovery process. Okay? I probably spent more time than I should have on that, but I just wanted to make that point. Now, Raymond James' outlook for 2020 is that the S&P range, the upside on the S&P range is about 3128. Okay, right now we're trading at about 3,041 on the S&P. They have an upside conservative projection that we will end the year at about 3128. They have a base or a median comparison or forecast rather, that we could end up about 27, right at 2,800 on the S&P, with a worst case scenario of 1,900 on the S&P. Okay, so that's the range right now. If you review the outlook that Adam emailed to you, you will have that data there. Okay. Equities, according to Raymond James and most analysts, stocks remain more attractive than bonds. Right now, we're in a really bad bond market. The interest rate on the 10-year Treasury is at an all-time low. Interest rate on 10-year Treasuries right now are currently at less than 1%. To be exact, 0.72%. So if you check CD rates, if you go down to your local banks, you're going to see that interest rates are very unfavorable. And so that makes the stock market, even for conservative investors, more attractive. Okay. In fact, a conservative investor typically would do better in a stock like AT&T that currently pays a 6.8% dividend yield. AT&T historically doesn't have a lot of stock movement or price movement in the stock, and it's currently paying about a 6.8% return or dividend or return on your money, compared to the 10-year Treasury that's paying 0.72%. Companies like Verizon are paying 4.3% dividend yield. Coca-Cola is paying 3.6 rather, and Verizon is paying 4.3. And some of the banks like Wells Fargo is paying a 7.3% dividend yield. Okay, and so all of those stocks I just mentioned are paying a higher yield, with the potential, because these stocks are at an all-time low, with the potential for growth potential during this economic recovery, plus giving the investor a better rate of return on their money than they would get if they had their money even in bonds, okay? So that's something to consider. In terms of the stock market right now, this current recovery, so far we have seen growth stocks perform the best. Companies like Apple, companies like Facebook, companies like Amazon, these stocks have performed the best. And most of these growth stocks would fall under the technology sector of the market, of our economy. And so those stocks have led in this recovery process. In fact, until yesterday, I mean, the markets were just really booming. And so what happened yesterday was that 10% this week was that 10% correction that I spoke of earlier that typically happens during a market recovery. And the reason that 10% correction happens is because when stocks run up pretty high over a short period of time, investors like to take some profit. And so when you have more money coming out of the market than what's flowing into the market, you're going to see prices drop. You're going to see the stock price drop. When you have more buying than selling, you're going to see the stock price go up. So when we see markets correct, that's because there's more selling than buying. And in this case, it's because people are taking profits because the last couple of months has been quite spectacular, actually, in terms of market recovery. Okay. Let's see. That is the major stuff I wanted to cover. The bullet points, the highlight, the bullet points or the highlights rather in our 2020 report. There's some additional, a lot of other technical information in there for those of you that like a more granular approach and want more information. So for you that just want the basics, that information is there as well. Dan, you like to have something to say in closing?
I just wanted to wish everyone a safe and happy weekend. And just wanted to, again, remind you that we're here for you. If there's anything you do need, perhaps you think of a question afterwards, feel free to reach out to us, email, call us, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
Okay. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe, drink some nice red wine, and we'll see you again on the 29th.